electrical safety. Okay. Okay, we're going to have to get a sparkly personality because of it. All right. Actually, everybody is exposed to electrical hazards on a day-to-day basis. Your computer's electrical hazard, your coffee pot, your microwave, everything that you use in an office. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about heat generating equipment. Okay? Maybe if I get the clicker to work. Okay. Are you allowed, are people allowed to have their own coffee pots at in their work areas or at their desk, or is there like a central coffee pot? How does that work for the agency? It's a central coffee pot?
Correct. It is supposed to be a central coffee
Okay.
pot in a kitchen area.
Okay. 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 Well, what happens sometimes is we decide that we want those, like the Keurig, you know, the new little coffee dispensers, it's the 1 cup. Those are starting to pop up all kinds of places in people's desks, or the single cup coffee brewers or tea brewers or cup warmers. Plug in and put your cup on it. You know, so we have those plugged in, then we have our computer monitor, our computer, possibly our telephone, lights, all that kind of stuff. I've seen mini microwaves now that's like that combo microwave, refrigerator, ice maker kind of thing all in one. Under people's desks. What you got to remember, or space heaters.
We don't talk about that.
We don't talk about space heaters? Okay. That's a touchy subject. Okay. If you are going to use space heaters, they need to be if you allow and you choose to use space heaters, it should be the type that if they tip over, they shut off. The tip over kind. And they have some new ones now that are just radiant heat. It looks like a screen, and it pulsates heat. But remember, some of the buildings are older that you guys have. Some of your buildings are leased buildings, and your electrical, you may not be able to electrically handle all that stuff if everybody's got their own coffee pot, their own space heater, their own mug warmer. Hopefully nobody's got the candle burners that you plug in and, okay. So all that stuff is electrical. It's all different kinds of hazards, okay? Now let's talk about extension cords and surge protectors, okay? Because we have older buildings, we don't have that many electrical outlets at places. So we like to do what we call daisy chain, and that's the picture you see up here. This is where we plug one surge protector into another surge protector, so we get enough electrical outlets for our coffee pot, our microwave, our printer label, our fan, our whatever we need in our office, okay? This is a fire hazard. It's an electrical exposure, it's electrical shock, okay? We really shouldn't be doing that. We see it all the time, but it is what it is, so we just have to make sure that if you've got this, you can buy surge protectors that have multiple outlets now. Like they have 10 or 20 outlets. So that's really what you should be purchasing. You shouldn't be plugging one surge protector into another surge protector. Okay? You're overloading the system. And it could surge, it could trip. If you have a surge protector or a ground fault circuit interrupter that keeps tripping, the best example I can give you is on a hairdryer. You know, sometimes it's got, or at home, your electrical outlet has those buttons in the middle. There's a red and a green button. If you have one of those and it keeps tripping and it keeps going off and you can't operate, whatever it is, you've got an electrical problem. There's a drop in voltage coming across that, or amperage coming across that line, and it's tripping it out. There's a problem, okay? So like if it's your hairdryer, stop using it, because the next thing is you're going to have a big flame come out and your hair is going to be burned up. No, that's from personal experience, okay? That's from personal experience. It wasn't quite that bad, but it was a flame, and it scared me enough that the thing got thrown in the trash can. All right. Space heater, hot mess here, lots of different things going on. There's some telephone wire going on, but slip, trip, fall hazard, looks like your office, we have these things around, okay?
They're taped to the wall.
They are taped to the wall,
They did do a good job taping.
okay? We don't ever see anything like this either, right? Okay? See, here we have to get our printer, our adding machine, our computer, our telephone. We got to get it connected to somebody else's desk too. So you can see they got a nice cord protector down there for the main cord, which you can't use an extension cord as permanent wiring. Okay, it can be temporary wiring for a short duration of time, but you can't have it down as permanent wiring all the time. Okay, that's an OSHA violation. So you can see this is just a big trip, slip, and fall hazard. Somebody had to get over there and get into that mess. Okay, this is the kind of stuff you should be looking for. Okay, this is the Monroe building
That's where you live.
at the bottom of at the service. If anybody's familiar with it, the service entrance. That extension cord is actually plugged into a space heater that's permanently mounted on the wall. Oh yeah. This was a while ago. It's been removed since then. But the day that we took this, if you look underneath the table, you can see the floor is kind of wet.
Yeah.
It was raining pretty hard, but it was covered by the mat. Okay, so you see it everywhere. Sometimes we walk right over it because we just don't recognize it. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your chemicals that you have on site. Is most of housekeeping contracted out? It is? Okay. I'm not sure what type of chemicals everybody's using, but what you need to be aware of is there is a OSHA program called Hazard Communication, or your right to know. And what it basically states is that you have the right to know what chemicals are being used in your workplace and what the potential exposures to those chemicals are. So you've probably heard of something called material safety data sheets. You might have them in the clinical side, like if you're doing any benchtop testing, you might have some of that stuff there. But what it requires is some labeling, you have to have training, and you have to have material safety data sheets. And those data sheets have to be readily accessible to anybody during any shift that they work. So for example, let's say that I am going to do clean windows, and I bring in this 5-gallon bucket that's labeled with a Windex. And I decide, you know what, that's too heavy, I'm going to pour it into a smaller spray bottle. What that requires is, if I pour it into that secondary container, that's what the spray bottle's called, that bottle has to be under my exclusive control the whole day. Okay? If not, then you have to label it with what it is, what's in it, and what the health hazards are, so that, you know, Marshall Johnson doesn't come along and decide, ooh, I'm going to take a swig of this and drink it. Okay? We also have to make sure we transfer materials into appropriate containers. I've seen cleaning chemicals in water bottles, in Coke, old soda bottles, and we've actually had, I don't think with the Department of Health, but we've had agencies where employees have accidentally ingested cleaning chemicals because they put it in there and then they forgot. The best example I can give you is we had an employee who asked the housekeeper for some cleaning material, and the housekeeper said, no, I can't give you any cleaning materials, but if you'd like for me to clean your office, I'll be glad to. Just let me know what you want me to clean. And the individual said, no, that's okay. So the housekeeper went around to the restroom and put her cart in front of the restroom like they usually do to block it off. And I guess that employee came out, it was a Crystal Light bottle, and the cleaning chemical that the housekeeper was using was yellow, so it looked kind of like lemonade, and she poured some into that Crystal Light bottle, put it back on her desk. Well, I guess she probably forgot, and a couple days later, she took a swig of it. So she ingested the chemical and got chemical burns. Okay? Stuff like that happens. you know, so that's why it's your right to know. You should know the cleaning chemicals that are in your area, kind of what you're doing. Things need to be labeled, okay? That's really, and if you come across an unknown substance in an unlabeled thing, don't sniff it, because if you sniff it, you're probably going to go down, because we don't know what it is, okay? Whatever you do, don't drink it or taste it. You know, there used to be, and I don't know if there's anybody that were mechanics out there, the old trick of the trade used to be you could taste antifreeze, I guess it was, and tell, like if there was oil or something. I don't know what the trick is, if you could tell if it was still good or whatever. But they used to, now you know the real secret why there's some problems out there. Drinking all the antifreeze. But yeah, there is some way, or the oil or something, they could tell if there was something in it. Okay? Here's examples of unlabeled containers. We see it all the time. And you've probably seen this at where you're at. You just walked past it and never knew.
It's a critical violation.
It is a critical violation. Yep. Because you don't know what it is. It could just be water. It could be vinegar. It could be acid. It could be, you know, all kinds of different stuff. All right? So who is actually responsible for your safety? Who is actually responsible for your safety? That's right, you are. Okay? On your day-to-day stuff, you are responsible for your safety. But as people who eventually, or got that magic wand waved over their head that said, congratulations, you've been selectively volunteered to be the safety officer for the health department, these are some of the things that you're going to have to train and look out for. And one of the things that I want to talk to you about is you can't do it alone. So hopefully you've got some strategies in place to help you. Hopefully you've got a safety committee in place so that your safety committee can help you. If you don't have a safety committee in place, you might want to think about starting one if you can get the buy-in from your the business manager, the director, whoever's in charge there. To address a lot of different issues. I mean, you can use a safety committee for a lot of things. So that's one thing that you want to make sure of. And use those people to help you. You've probably got tons of resources right there. You can't do it alone. You got to reach out for help. Okay? So the biggest thing is somewhere along the way we have to start identifying these hazards. And that was the one critical thing when we did the survey that started all of this was how do we identify and how are we correcting these hazards? That was what you told us you wanted. Then you talked about OSHA record-keeping requirements, job safety analysis. You've probably heard that before. And that's where we take a task and we break it down step by step to look at those hazards. We can help with some of that. And then I think the third one was it hazard assessments? PPE hazard assessments? There were three top ones.
I think that was.
I think hazard assessments was one.
Yes.
So it was identifying and correcting workplace hazards, which we tried to do a little bit today, teach you what those hazards were, show you what those hazards were. The OSHA record keeping, I know, was an issue, or you wanted training on. Job safety analysis, which I'm doing the week of the last week in May. I'm doing a job safety analysis, conducting job safety analysis class here in Richmond, and it's on iLink. That's a free training. I think I'm doing, hold on, let me get my calendar. I can tell you exactly what I'm training on. This is May, right? I gotta make sure I got the right month. Okay. So next week, the 15th and the 16th, we're doing an OSHA 10-hour class. And that's going to go over the basics of OSHA. And like I said before, there are several people from VDH signed up for that already. That hasn't been closed out, so that one, unfortunately, we cannot do webinar-based because it's guidelines by OSHA, so that's in person only. On the 29th, of May, we're doing from 9 to noon outdoor worker safety, so it's all those hazards for people working outside. So that might be something that Environmental Health Services, the Water Division, whomever goes outside and does whatever they do, spends their day outside. Bucket trucks, an aerial list. I don't think you guys get into that. And then on the 30th, from 9 to noon, is conducting job safety analysis. So in that class, we go through some scenarios, we talk about it, we break it down so that you're comfortable before you leave on how to do one.
And when they, Marshall, when they register for that, then that will give them all the links that they need to get onto the INET for the webinar, right?
Yes, what happens is once they register in the Knowledge Center, under there, you'll see two. There'll be the web link, or the iLink, I think it's called, and then the regular, like, in-person class. And once they've been accepted, then another email comes back out to you with the phone number, because we do it two ways. It's the link to do the webinar base, and then you'll teleconference just like this, so you'll be able to ask questions. And then they'll also send you the training email with the training materials in it. So you should get at least two. I don't know if it all comes in one email or if it's two separate emails.
Is that one going to be archived or available afterwards, so if somebody wasn't able to make it, they can view it later?
We haven't started that capability yet. I know that's in the works for the next July through December.
Okay.
But I think we're conducting safety analysis a couple other times. The new training calendar, I might not, no. We just finalized that, and maybe I do have it with me. I do have it with me. It does not look like we're doing job safety analysis again. But that doesn't mean that you couldn't do a request for assistance and do a Polycom training like this and do that class if you have enough participants.
Okay.
So that's always an option too. We're doing, in July, it's outdoor worker safety again, fundamentals to electrical safety and fall protection. Bloodborne pathogens is in August. If you want to take that class, that's August 7th. Ergonomic tools for any job, that's August 7th too, from 1 to 4. Trying to think. Some of these just don't apply to you because it's not. We're doing bloodborne pathogens again November 6th, from 1 to 4. And then, which some of the people who are responsible for HR or the workers' comp reps, we have a new class in December. It's called Injury Illness Classification and its Usefulness. So when you go to submit your claim to MCI, how do you code that? So let's say, for example, I was walking in a parking lot and I slipped and fell and twisted my ankle. Is it a slip and fall or is it a strain and sprain twist by? Because, you know, I don't know if anybody in here, but there's those things that you can pick from. So it's kind of helping figure all that kind of stuff out. So if there's any specific training that you guys want, Jeff knows the process to request a training program. Usually if it's local like this and we do Polycom, Christy usually doesn't say no, only because we can impact more people and there's really limited cost to it. Because my time's already paid for. So, but going back to follow up, basically identify those hazards, get your claims turned in, report it, and then follow those best practices. And hopefully, if we do all that, that's okay. But hopefully, I had a little guy all bandaged up as a clip art. You won't get injury and won't have to worry about accident and injury reports. Here, we can go back. There's my little guy. So that's what we're trying to prevent you guys from looking like at the end of the day, okay?